I hope so, because if not, maybe you should shut your computer off right now. Welcome, everybody, to Inside the Rut MX podcast. My name is Kenny Watson, and I am your host. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone that made this possible.
Team Elite, general contracting, residential or commercial construction, and all of your landscaping needs. They've got it covered. Team Elite has over 30 years of combined experience to get your project done right. Visit EliteTeamOffices.com for more details and tell them Inside the Rut sent you. They will exceed your expectations. Cocopah Casino and Resort, located just outside of Yuma, Arizona. Headed to the river, Lake Havasu, or to Phoenix from San Diego? Well, it's on your way. Make a pit stop. Headed to Glamis? Make a short detour. Stay and play. For more information, visit their website, cocopahresort.com. That's COCOPAH resort.com. Ron's In Your Ear Audio, located in Havasu City, Arizona, taking care of all of your audio and electronic installation. They do gel coats, alarm installations, and shrink wraps. They also take care of any fiberglass needs. If you're in the area, stop in and see their showroom. Visit ronsinyourEaraudio.com and tell them Inside the Rut sent you. They'll take care of you. X Brand. Searching for goggles? Search no further. Go to xbrand.com. That's EKSbrand.com and enter in the promo code ITR48 for 30% off. Works Connection. For all of your two-wheel needs. Works Connection has the products you need. Go to worksconnection.com. Hart & Huntington Tattoo. Located in Las Vegas, Orlando, Niagara Falls, and Nashville. If you're in any of these areas, stop in and tell them Inside the Rut sent you. Guts Racing. Guts Incorporated has been providing high-quality, high-performance seat covers and foam since 1990. Visit gutsracing.com to view their selection and use discount code ITRMX30 for 30% off. For direct links to our sponsors' websites, visit our website, ITRMX.com.
Welcome back, everybody. You know, when we started this thing, I said it was going to be a little bit different. So we're going to mix it up for this podcast. We have a special guest that we want to bring in and do a podcast on about life and life in general. That's all we really talked about doing on this podcast, was just trying to get the point across that there's more in life besides dirt bike racing. We all have the passion. We all love dirt bike racing. But at the end of the day, it should not be the number one priority in life. Okay, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Right on. Well, here we are. Next guest. Super excited to talk to this guy. This guy right here we're talking about is, you know, along the lines of the next big thing. And how many times we've heard that through this sport. Big expectations, high anticipation, him coming out of the amateur ranks was going to be the next guy. And the guy I'm talking about, I would like to welcome him to the show, Mr. Ben RIDDLE.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Ben? What's going on?
I'm good.
Let me guess. You're working working on a tractor, I bet.
Yeah, actually, we went to Loretta's, and I took some kids down there this year, and nobody was there to work on the track while I was gone, so all the work piles up. So I'm trying to catch up on that, and if it ain't one thing, it's something else. Had a hydraulic line blow, so that could cost me about a day's worth of work. So
you're not you just don't pick up the phone and call the guy to come out and fix it?
No, we don't do that around here. I'm hands-on. I work on all my stuff.
Oh,
so I'd rather do it myself and save the money. So, and then you learn how to do it. So you always, I'd rather learn how to do something than pay somebody to do it for me.
Attaboy.
That's it to me, So, but yeah, it's been going good. I got a track in mid-June, right before we, some guys started training for Loretta, so it worked out good. And just been hammering away on it, trying to get it, prime and, trying to make it one of the better tracks in Kentucky. Our motocross, our everything around here just fell off. And, the motocross scene has went backwards, since SAUGHT and me and a lot of the other guys. We've not had nobody else come through Kentucky that's going decent. So, one of them reasons is a lot of the parents taking all the money to different states and riding different places and going to practice here and there when, they could stay closer to home and pretty much ride in their backyard. So, and it's just more convenient for me to have a track than drive to a track every day and train. So it kind of worked out pretty good, actually.
Do you guys have any up and coming kids in your eyes? Is there any talent coming in out of Kentucky in your eyes?
I mean, there's some potential out there. It's just this day and age, the kids just want everything handed to them. And when I was growing up, you had to work your ass off for it. And nowadays, it's just like, and it doesn't matter where you're at, you don't get them driven kids that want it more than the other guy. So, until I start seeing that in the riders around here, really, I don't know. I mean, right now, no. But, I mean, there's talent. It's just, they got the talent to ride, but they don't have the off-bike drive and talent, of going to the gym and taking it upon themselves to do cardio and, riding every day and trying to put in the time and the work to get better. They just expect it to happen. So right now, hopefully here in the next year or two with me having a track and doing the training, hopefully I can get some guys going good. Now we do have some good, there's a few good guys that I think that are coming up through the ranks. I had one kid get a whole shot at Loretta's, first year there, barely made it in. There's a couple other guys that got speed but can't stay off the ground. So it's just one of them things that hopefully here in the next few years we can have somebody up there winning races at Loretta's and hopefully get another guy on a team one day and watch him make it on, be on TV and race Supercross and outdoors and make the big money. So
that's probably the goal for most of these guys, but a lot of these guys don't realize, and it's funny. It's like one of my main topics I like to talk about on the show is, that there's the window that all you guys all had. It shuts really fast. I mean, you guys have a window of, probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years at the top level to make it, and then after it slams, it slams shut, and there ain't no prying it open, and then it's this thing called life. And that's the thing that usually, nips a lot of people in the ass that's involved in this industry. If it's a racer, mechanic, I don't care what you do. Once you get addicted to the motorcycle industry, unless you have something to fall back on, if you don't work in it, you can find yourself getting into a jam, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. It's very easy to get into that situation. I mean, like my story, all the way back to.
Let's get into that. Let's jump into that. Let's jump. Yeah, no, my bad. Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off. Let's start at the beginning, man. Let's start about people that don't know anything about Ben Riddle, and educate some of us about when it all started, and just some background about your amateur career, and walk us through it.
Okay. Well, I started riding dirt bikes when I was 7. My dad raced in the 70s against Roger DeCoster and Heike Nicola, all them old pros from back in the day. And he used to ride all the time, and I had a little four-wheeler, and I begged him for a dirt bike, so he bought me a dirt bike on my 7th birthday, a little XR80. At 7, I rode it for a long time and ended up breaking the frame, so one of my cousins was living with me, and my mom and dad were taking care of 3 of my cousins at the time, and bought him a bike, and he ended up moving out, so moved back in with his parents, and I started riding a KX80 big wheel, and I raced that for like a year.
Let me ask you a question. I don't mean to cut you off, but growing up, were you always a big kid? Like you said, you broke the frame on your XR80. Were you always like a big guy, like growing up?
Oh yeah. All my family's tall. I
remember your dad. I remember your dad at the races. That was a big man.
And so yeah, I've always been pretty tall and lanky. It was a disadvantage sometimes, an advantage many times. So it has its pros and cons. But I was always a big kid. Always at least 6 to 12 inches taller than everybody else my same age, which was a benefit because I got on big bikes at 12. and I was already ahead of the game by every time everybody else moved up to my class, into schoolboy or
Yeah, you had a beard when you were
you
had a beard when you were 13, I think.
Possibly. But, so my whole amateur, I got into it through my dad, and, we started racing local stuff around, 7 and 8. And then, he asked me if I wanted to try to do Loretta's. First year I went to Loretta's, I got like 30th or something. And I realized I needed to do more, off the bike stuff and more on bike stuff too. So the whole following year, all I did was train and ride every day. I took it upon myself, 10 years old, to learn everything, and just went to Loretta's again, did a little bit better, got like 11th or something. And then the next year I raced against, I think Pastrana was there that year, raced against him, ended up getting 4th that year. Then I moved up to big bikes.
Who's your biggest competition through all your amateur career? That if you can remember just that one guy, Travis
Pastrana. Yeah, I raced him a lot. For a long time there, he beat me. He beat me pretty good all the time. And then eventually, after so many beatings, you've got to take a win eventually. And then once I started beating him, we used to go back and forth.
What about Billy? What about Billy Boy?
Billy Payne, he was so far out west. The only time I really saw him was when we did like Mammoth or Ponca City or Loretta. So he really, I really didn't get to race him that much. He was a Cali boy, so it kind of made it, we didn't see him that much. World Minis out in Vegas, but other than that, really just Pastrana, Josh Woods, Jeff Gibson, Josh Summing.
Gotcha.
There was quite a few of them kids. Andrew Short, and I used to put it on all of them though. And the amateurs, they hated me. Well, because it was like when I moved to big bikes, they stayed on 80s for like another year or two. So I was already had worked my technique, learned how to ride a big bike. So by the time they got to there, they were already 3 or 4 steps behind. And I had, such a big advantage being big, so I got to get on big bikes a little bit sooner, which, was a benefit to me. And I learned the hard way. I got the shit beat out of me every weekend going to all these races, racing guys that were 17, 18, 19. I was 12 years old, and, I learned, that's what made me tough. And, so throughout my career, I was always younger than everybody else. I might have looked older, but I was always younger, which, it made me feel good that I could go out there. They beat me when I rode 80s every weekend. All them guys religiously beat me. And then when I got on big bikes, and then they got on big bikes, it was the opposite way, and they could never catch me. Once I got on big bikes and started getting my groove down and figuring out everything, then I was, I wanted to win more than anybody else. And that's what that was my plan every weekend, was how many seconds can I beat everybody by? And that was at Loretta's, every national. Me and my dad always bet, how much, would you want to bet $100 you can beat him by 30 seconds at Loretta's? And I'd bet him. And that was my goal. Every weekend, let's make them look as bad as possible. That was always my goal.
Do you think the reason?
It was just to make.
Do you think the reason why it was your size? Was that the only reason, because you were so big on that mini bike and you were just too big for it, that they would whoop you?
Yeah, I think so. I think it hindered me a lot, and I always outweighed everybody too. And I think the weight and just horsepower ratio just didn't match up.
Did you have good, when you were at that level on it your last year on the 80, did you have good support and good equipment, or was it a deal where they had better equipment?
No, we went to Loretta's that year and didn't have no sponsors, so we didn't run no graphics. We just put numbers on my bikes. And my dad didn't like supporting gear companies because, you put their gear on, it's free advertisement for them. So my mom took like all 3 sets of my racing gear and pulled all the Fox logos off, unstitched them, and, made it where, just free advertisement for somebody that wouldn't help me out. And then after I did good that year at Loretta's and got a 4th, Team Green picked me up and, helped me out with like 50% off that year. And then that next year I went to Loretta's and got, I think, 7th and 8th against like Nick Way, Pastrana, a bunch of other, fast guys, Justin Buckaloo, Ivan Tedesco. There was quite a few in that class that year. And, that year I did a little bit better, so I got a little bit more support, a little bit more.
How old were you then?
How
old were you that year?
12 and 13.
And what class was that? Was that B?
Schoolboy.
Oh, wow.
That schoolboy, yeah, 12 to 16 or 12 to 15 back then.
Were you riding a 250 too?
Yeah, I was riding a 250 at that age. I mean, I got a 125 as soon as we left Loretta's. I got off my 80s, got a 125, and then rode it for like 3 months, and then my dad bought me a 250 two-stroke, and then I started riding it.
Yeah, you don't hear that happening nowadays. These kids.
And then it went. I had a couple injuries throughout. The couple of years there, I had a couple small things happen, and then I got into the intermediate. I rode schoolboy. I could have rode schoolboy another 2 years, but instead I went to B class. Went down there and I won every moto but 2, and that was my fault because I crashed myself out.
How old were you then?
14.
Wow.
Or it might have been 14 or 15. I can't recall. Maybe 15, because the following year I turned pro. I turned A. Yeah, I was 15 then. And then my last year I was 16. And I ran both the A classes at Loretta's. And
Who'd you beat that last year at Loretta's?
Andrew Short, Johnny Marley, Josh Woods, quite a few different ones I can't recall, but those are the top guys, And then that year I got the Horizon Award the last year I was there. All with that though, I rode Team Green all the way up till my last year as an amateur, and Suzuki at the time, Cole Griss. I knew him through Team Green, and he was the team manager for the amateur ranks and set me a good deal up, a 1 year amateur, 2 year pro deal. So we signed a contract, and then my last year as an amateur though, and nobody really believes me, but like we got double contingency. Then we had a shop that would give me half of whatever my contingency was cash. So we hit nothing but paying contingency races. So throughout that year, plus what they gave my dad, they gave my dad like $75,000 or something in a banking account for travel money, which was more. He just gave it to me, but it ended up, throughout all my other sponsors that sent my dad money, we never had to pay for anything like the last 2 years. And like I said, the last year amateur, I'd say I made $250,000 cash as an amateur rider just through my double contingency, getting that cash from it. And then, what Suzuki, Thor, Scott, Bell, and all them sent to my dad too. I made a pretty good amount of money. Plus we got 10 bikes that we didn't have to give back. So we got to sell all them too. And, that year was a pretty good year. It might have been a little bit better. When I switched to Suzuki, I went down to Mini O's and I was winning everything, and it ended up endoing real bad, and the bike landed on top of me. I broke my neck, and I broke 3 vertebrae in my back, punctured my lung, bruised my heart, my spleen, my kidneys, my liver real bad. So that put me out for like 5 months.
Wow. And
then I got back on a bike right before the areas and started doing the areas, and I pretty much, got back into shape and started doing some stuff. And that year was kind of rough because we went and hit a bunch of amateur nationals, and my performance wasn't there just from where I got hurt. It was a pretty good injury. It kind of scared me pretty bad because I knocked myself out, and then I had a halo on, holding my neck, coughed up blood, and it was scary. It was one of them deals that kind of scared me, like, hey, do I still want to really do this? Because I about died, and then I got over all being excuse my language, being a bitch, and got back on my routine of doing stuff. And then, the rest of the year just gradually got better and better and better. And then I went to Loretta's, and that year I won everything. My main competition was Johnny Marley. And then other than that, me and him pretty much run away all three motos in the 125 class, and in the 250 A or whatever it was. I ended up winning every moto except for one because I crashed in the 10 Commandments on a first lap, but I ended up winning every moto by like 45 seconds.
Wow.
And it was a pretty good year. And then I went to Unadilla, or might have been Broome, Tioga, went up there and just got a taste of reality. I thought I was training hard, thought I was doing everything right. I got up there and was like a fish out of water, got my ass spanked, and, left with my head down real low and was like, wasn't happy with a 16th. Or no, I got 16th one moto, but I ended up like 22nd or something. I was like very disappointed. And then did Steel City. I think I got a 16th. It was a little bit better, but it wasn't what I was expecting. With my speed was there, but my mental game was completely shot. I just was not, mentally ready to take a beating like I was. And, so in the off season, we went and stayed at, I went down and stayed at Kevin Wyndham's, and Pastrana, Travis was there, Danny Smith, Justin Buckaloo, a couple other guys. We all trained together except for Kevin. He never really did much. He would get up at 10 o'clock, go run a few motos, eat some Krispy Kreme donuts, and drink a Pepsi, and then go back inside in the air conditioning. Yep. Which was, he had so much raw talent, it didn't matter.
Yeah, I've been there. I've seen it. I witnessed it too. So you don't got to sell me on that. You missed the bag of M&Ms that he always carried around with him too.
But we rode, we got up every morning, went on a road bike ride, and then did a bunch of motos on the Supercross track, and then we would do like shared climber. And I trained hard all off season, and then Supercross came, and my first Supercross was pretty good. The qualifier, I pulled the whole shot and led for just a little bit. Ended up getting third against Brock Sellards and Pastrana. And actually, my first Supercross, I broke my thumb at Arena Cross 3 weeks prior, so I had to ride with like a little cast on my wrist. I cut part of it off, but it was enough that I could bend my wrist. So it was good. It wasn't what I was, I ended up getting like 9th or 10th that night. I crashed a lot. I was a little bit bigger than everybody else. When you weigh 30 pounds more than the other riders do, it's kind of hard to get over the triples and, do a lot of stuff. So,
and you were on 125, right? That was 125s, right? Not for that was
125s. Yeah. And it was disappointing because it's like when I signed the deal, we were trying to work it out that I just skipped the 125 class and go straight to 250s because of my size, like Benny Blows has,
Yep.
I think if, looking back, I wish this and I wish that, but it would have been nice if I would have got an opportunity my first year just to go straight into the big bikes and just skip that 125 class. It's great and all, but my size, it just killed me. I didn't have enough horsepower to get the jumps. I didn't have, it just wouldn't pull me. Even a factory bike. I mean, I was 185, 190 without gear on, and that was me pushing, dieting and doing everything I could. I looked sick because I was trying to lose so much weight, to try to get my, less weight, more horsepower. That's what my dad always said. So, I always watched what I eat and was trying to do everything right. It just didn't work. And, I trained so hard that I think I overtrained there for a little bit, and then I backed it off. And then when I backed it off, I went to Washougal. First moto was running good. And in the second moto, I got T-boned by Michael Brandis, and he broke my leg. Oh. And that was kind of the beginning of the end for me. I got my foot, they put it in a cast, and 6 weeks later, they cut the cast off. As soon as they cut the cast off, my damn ankle, kicked in. I mean, I was walking on the side of my foot. And they didn't see where I tore a bunch of ligaments. And when the ligaments and everything grew back, it pulled the bone off and everything. So the bone didn't grow back right. So they had to re-break my leg and put pin screws and a rod in it. And, at that time, it was, the early 2000s, they didn't really restrict. I mean, being honest, they didn't restrict how much pain medicine they give a kid. My mom and dad thought I was responsible enough to be able to take my own medicine and take care of myself. I was taking my own medicine, but I was taking triple the dose just to kill the pain. And then the next thing I know, I was taking 4 and 5, trying to, maintain what I was on 3. And then, before I knew it, I was like, damn, I'm hooked on them, and then I ended up got all healed up, got off of them, and everything was good there for a little while. And I moved up to I moved from Factory Suzuki to Moto World Suzuki team. Rode with Damon Huffman, Andrew Short, maybe Justin Buckaloo. I'm not sure who else was on that team that year. But, everything was going good. I couldn't do no training really because of my legs, so I had to ride myself back into shape. My first Supercross in the 250 class was Dallas. Went there, made the night show, missed the main by 1 in the LCQ. The following weekend was like, I don't even know, maybe Minneapolis or something like that. I ended up doing that one, made the main. Just pretty much, my dad told me just go out there and have fun in the main event. If whatever you get, you made it in. You're not been training, so don't push yourself too hard. So every weekend I started building on it. I went to Salt Lake City that year, and it rained. It was a mud race. It was a mud qualifiers. Everything was pretty muddy, so I ended up doing pretty good that weekend. I think I got like 16th or something. And, I felt good. I got to finish the whole race. I think I only got lapped once that weekend by Carmichael. So I felt like I was making progression in the right direction. And then I went to Vegas, and it was in the qualifier. It was like Carmichael, Pastrana, Stefan Ricotta was in front of me. 2 laps to go. There was like a double coming into a turn. You could triple single. I just barely clipped it on the triple, went over the bars and caught a handlebar in the gut, and ended up lacerating my liver pretty bad. And they had me in, I don't even know, the hospital there in Las Vegas. They had me in there, and they come in, and they told me it was pretty bad, that they were going to put me on a list for a liver transplant because the laceration was pretty big. So they kept me in the hospital for like 2 weeks, and they come in and they were monitoring me, and they ended up doing some kind of experimental stuff, and it was some kind of in a needle or some kind of paste. And they stuck this big giant needle in my belly and did something, and I couldn't ride for like 3 months. So I got to do Unadilla. I went to Unadilla, and I didn't do worth the shit there. I failed a bunch and just couldn't get nothing together. My mental game was all off. And then the following week, I went swimming with my buddies, and there was a big bridge out here in the country. We jump off into the lake and went to do a double front flip, and I over-rotated and ended up collapsing a lung right before Steel City. So I went to Steel City with a, collapsed lung, went up there, talked to my team manager, Paul Lindsay, and, he told me that I need to get my head on straight, quit screwing around, collected my money, my $1,000 for showing up, and then watched the race and went home. And then after Steel City, my agent called, Freddie Bramlett. He called and was like, hey, I can get you on a Honda team. Do you want to ride? And I told him no. I said, I'm done. I'm getting tired of getting hurt. At that time, I had like few $100,000 in the bank and felt comfortable enough that I didn't need to do nothing no more. And, I just laid back and, went out to clubs, started partying, started doing dumb crap. Started experimenting with different stuff, coke, ecstasy, GHB, LSD, all the hallucinogenics. I was just running around with the wrong crowd at the time. Ended up, did that for like 5 months, and I had a buddy out of Arizona called and asked me if I wanted to come out and ride. Said he can get me some KTM. So I didn't tell none of my friends. I had a house and everything and a girlfriend. Didn't tell nobody. I packed my bag late at night one night and threw it in my pickup truck and left. And got to Arizona and called them and told everybody that I had a bunch of people staying with me. I told everybody to get out of my house. Told my girlfriend I was done. And ended up selling the house. And pretty much just lived out in Arizona with my buddy for like 6 months. And literally the second day I was riding in a wash down there in some canyon and hit a rock, ended up breaking my wrist. So it was kind of screwed up. I was trying to make a comeback, and then I broke my wrist the second day. So I was off. Pretty much all we did was sit around the pool, try to pull hose, drinking Seagram 7 and 7-Up all day long. Pretty much that's all we did. I mean, that's all we did. And then his mom got sick, and he had to move back to Cape Girardeau, Missouri. So I come home and didn't have a house, had a bunch of money, and the girl I used to date when I was really young, got in touch with her, and we started talking, and that was the next thing I know, we moved in together in Lexington, and started living up there for a while, and was doing good, really, I had money, so I wasn't working or nothing, and I got some Yamaha, or let me see, what did I get? No, got some Hondas from Mountain Adventure Power Sports in Sevierville, Tennessee. Started riding again. Did the 4-stroke nationals. Ended up getting 4th overall in the series against like Jeff Gibson, Josh Summey, and Paul Carpenter. I won one. Won 4-stroke national at my home track, Daniel Boone. Got a couple seconds. Was doing good, and then went to Mini-O's just to ride, and should have won the 450 Pro class or 250 Pro class, but ended up stalling my bike on the gate and threw that away, and started doing arena crosses and won a couple of them. It'd be like the sub-series to the Amsoil Arena Cross, the National Arena Cross, kind of like the regional ones or whatever, and was at Nashville, Tennessee, and a lapper cut across on the catapult side. It was land on him or bail, and I bailed, and I tore my rotator cuff. So I had to get my Hondas back because I wasn't racing. I was out for like 2 months. I had to have shoulder surgery. So I got some Yamahas out of Georgia through one of my good friends, and bought a street bike, bought a crotch rocket at the same time I got the bikes. And July 5th, 2005, I was on a country road that I always ride, and doing what motocrossers do, go wide freaking open, and I hit a chunk of asphalt where they patched up the side of the road where there's a pothole. It was in the center of the road, and I high-sided and jumped the ditch, and I went out in the field thinking I was going to be all right, and I was like, damn, I just saved it. That's the first thing I thought. I just saved it. Holy shit, I was going to go down. It was going to hurt. And as soon as I said that, there was a rock the size of a refrigerator I hit doing about 65. And I tried to bail, but when I did, I got my left leg over the bars, but I caught my right knee, and I had a compound fracture, and I lost half my kneecap, shattered my humerus, which is your upper arm bone, broke my skull, punctured a lung, broke my leg, bunch of ribs, compressed the vertebrae in my back, and I was in a coma for 7 days. So when I came out of coma, I didn't even know what happened, wasn't sure, didn't know what was going on. Remembered I was riding the bike, but I didn't remember nothing after that. And, they put me, had to do a few surgeries on my knee and my arm, and then ended up, they pumped me full of pain meds while I was in the hospital. I was in there for like 4 weeks. And when I got out, they gave me a bunch of pain medicine, which I was doing correctly for a while there, and it just like hanging out with a bad crowd. And at that time, 2005, 2006, Oxycontins got real big in Kentucky, and my girlfriend's mom's boyfriend owned a tattoo shop, and he was going through chemotherapy and was getting them, so I was getting them from him to help dull the pain. The next thing I know, I was addicted to them. Met some guys out of Detroit that were bringing them down out of Canada, and I was getting 500 and 600 pills at a time, and then, started selling them because I started running out of money. I was like, I was tight on money at the time, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to sell a few here and there. Started doing that, and, the girl I was with told me it was too risky, so I stopped doing that, and I knew a guy from racing, that sold pot, and we got hooked up. I got a hooked up deal out of Texas through the Mexican Mafia. And he started bringing me up 50 pounds at a time. And, it was going, it went good, as you can, as a drug dealer would say, it was going good. But, I wasn't satisfied. I wanted more money. I wanted to make more. So I kept pushing and pushing. And then I had a really good friend. We hung out every day. And he ended up getting in trouble and got caught with a couple Oxycontins. No jail time. If he did, it would have been minimum 90 days. But he told on me, and 3 other people set me up. And I went to take him 7 pounds of pot. And earlier that morning, I'm a gun collector. I'm not no more because I'm a felon, but I had like 40-something guns, like 25 different kinds of pistols, shotguns, AR-15s, assault rifles, all kinds of stuff. So I went to the gun range that morning and put my gun in my gun case, unloaded in a duffel bag in the back. So when I got caught, they enhanced my charge because I had a concealed deadly weapon. So instead of getting like 2 years, I got 10. Even though it was in a gun case, even though I had a receipt from the gun range from when I went firing it, it wasn't anywhere in my vicinity, but it was in the car. They slammed me with that. And it was an eye-opener. I never got in no trouble before. So when I had to go do 45 days because I couldn't come up with my bond, I got caught with 7 pounds in the car. The girl I was with got caught with 23 pounds, like $40,000 cash. So pretty much a lot of my money got took, and I had to start selling stuff. My dad and them wouldn't bond me out of jail. They had the money, but they wouldn't. They refused to. So I had to sell my brand new pickup truck. I bought another street bike. I had to sell it in my boat to make my bond. And I got out and started roofing for a guy. I roofed for a little bit, and my lawyer was one of my buddies, that I grew up with, Dad, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you're only gonna, you'll get shock. You won't have to do no time." So when I went in for my final hearing, they were like, we're gonna set an example of you. We're giving you 10 years. Take it. So I started off my whole prison sentence. They send you in Kentucky. It's called the fish tank, and it's pretty much where they send everybody. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry that gets in trouble goes there. It doesn't matter if you killed 10 people, you got caught with a little bit of dope, or if you raped a baby. It doesn't matter. Like, everybody's there. And the first day I was there, I saw a dude get the shit stabbed out of him with a damn sharpened down toothbrush for raping some girl, And, it was pretty crazy. And then they sent me to like a minimum security camp. I started working. They let you work around the camp to make money. And then if you get your custody level, which is like a ranking, like they go through every 6 months, and they categorize you if you can go out and work in public. And I was getting ready to do that, and the girl I was with, they got caught with the stuff. We had a house, and she ended up leaving me. She come on my birthday and told me she had some other dude living with her in my house. She was going to put all my stuff in storage, not to call her no more. So I kind of lost my shit. I was going to run off. And go, I don't know what I was going to do. I was going to go see her and do something to him, and then ended up getting shipped. I think they overheard a phone conversation, so they moved me to like a jail, which they let you go out and work in public, and I worked in public for a little while. And, I got bounced around here and there. They shipped me from that place to another little county jail, and I raised 3 kinds of hell because I was farther away from home. They shipped me from like 30 minutes from the house to like 4 hours, so I raised all kinds of hell and tried to start, so they moved me again, and they moved me into this little jail. It's like 20 minutes from the house. And, I was working in my hometown and got to see my mom every day, got to eat lunch with my mom, eat lunch with my dad, see my brother's kids. So it was going good, and ended up getting in some trouble, and they sent me to a maximum security prison. So while I was at the maximum security prison, you know, it was going deep, you know, everything was good. And then they ended up having a big old riot there. It was the biggest riot in the state of Kentucky's history. And they burnt down like 2 dorms. There's 1,200, maybe, 1,200 people, 1,200 prisoners there. They ended up burning down a dorm, burning medical down, did a bunch of crazy stuff. Well, at that time, I worked, you know, if you work, they got open dorms. But if you work and you keep your job for a long time, you can go from like a 100-man dorm or to like a 10-man, and then from a 10 to a 4 to a 2. Well, I was already down to a 2. I was there for like a year and a half, and was in a 2-man cell actually playing MX Unleashed on my PlayStation, because they let you have PlayStations in the state of Kentucky. So I was playing the game, and the next thing you know, they cut the power, and the National Guard come in, hog-tied everybody, and we had to sit out in the field, basically hog-tied for like 13 hours, and they shipped me to this other place, Marion Adjustment. No, I go from North Point. Yeah, I went to Marion Adjustment Center to do substance abuse program, and started doing the substance abuse program, and I ended up being like the head. They call them mentors, but where I was in there, and I told my story about how I used to race bikes, and I had a bunch of magazines my mom sent me with me on the front cover, and you know, Moto Playground, stuff like that. That, you know, and I told my story, and I was sober and doing good, and I taught the class. Like, they kept giving me deferments, which is like when you go see the pro board, they give you they call them a flop or deferment. They make you do more time on your sentence. So I went up like twice before I went to that prison. They gave me like a 9, then they gave me a 12, then they gave me a 15, and I was like, all right, well, I'll just stay in SAP. And I was actually, there was the prison guards there. They just hire anybody. So there was a guy that knew my brother that him and my brother didn't get along with, and he come to search my cell one day, and had a bunch of pictures of my family, and he was just throwing them on the floor, stomping on them. And I asked him like 3 or 4 times if he would, you know, have a little respect. I lost my cool. I put the guy in the hospital, ended up breaking his jaw, knocked a bunch of teeth out. So I got an assault on a prison guard. Probably shouldn't have did that, but I'm the kind of person, if you disrespect me, I'm going to, you know, I don't know. That's just, I look back, I probably shouldn't have did that. But it is what it is. It's, you know, you can't change the past. You can wish in one hand and shit in the other one, and we'll tell you which one's going to fill up faster. So I ended up beating him up. So they sent me to this place called Eastern, and it was really, it was bad. You know, I watched a dude get his throat slashed, you know, guys getting raped. It was bad. It was bad. And I wasn't scared, but I was like, it was a dose of reality. It's controlled movement, you know, always, you know, guards always giving you shit. And it was, you know, I was like, oh man. So I just put my nose down and worked my butt off. I worked the laundry, and then was like a dorm runner. I run for like the caseworkers and stuff like that, back and forth, and worked out every day. You know, I put on like 30 pounds of muscle and was bench pressing like 395 and squatting 500 pounds. So I got in really good shape. I was running and jogging every day, and got another deferment. And actually the caseworker there, she was pretty damn hot too. But she was all upset because, you know, her and my mom would talk all the time on the phone. My mom would call down there and ask how I was doing and everything. And like this whole time I went to prison, I didn't talk to my dad. I didn't talk to my dad for 5.5 years. Didn't talk to him. He wouldn't talk to me. He was ashamed of me. So I only got to talk to my mom. My mom come saw me every weekend that she could. And I think she only missed I was in prison 76 months. She only missed like 3 weekends in 76 months. So she was pretty dedicated to me. And, you know, I ended up kept my nose clean, did everything I needed to do. You know, they ended up sending me to this work camp. You know, I only had at that time, I already had 5.5 years in. So I was like, you know, they're going to send me to a work camp. I'm going to end up just going on and serving out all my time down here. Went down there, and they were overpopulated. So they called me in one day and said, you're going to go home on early release. And I ended up getting, my mom went and rented me a house, and I got out. I'm going to tell you what, and it's true as it can be. I walked out, and as soon as I got out past the gates of the front gate, I got on my hands and knees, and I kissed the ground, gave my mom the biggest hug. I cried like a baby because I never thought it was going to happen. Because once you get in there for so long, you get institutionalized. You get used to it. And I'm not even going to lie. When I got out, I lived by myself. You know, my mom would come over and see me. I didn't have a car. I had an ankle monitor on. And it was such routine that every night I would, you know, every morning I'd wake up at like 5 to be counted, you know, looking for my little ID that they give you. They give you looks like a, you know, credit card, and they give you an ID with your picture on it, looking for it, making sure I got it so I don't get a write-up. And it took me about 4 weeks of living by myself and getting used to the world, because when I went to prison, cell phones didn't talk to you. They didn't take pictures. They didn't do none of that crap. There wasn't no Facebook, none of that crap. So I was kind of, you know, I was blown away with everything that advanced in that amount of time. And I got out, and February 19th, I got my ankle monitor off like mid-March, and I had a buddy that had a bike and told him I wanted to ride, so I went and got some gear through my Fox rep and started riding, training. I went to Lazy River to qualify. My first race to qualify, I was going to try to go to Loretta's in plus 25. Nick Gaines and a bunch of them were there riding like B class or something else, talking about jumping some quad in the rhythm section. So my dumb ass, you know, I went out there and jumped it like 3 or 4 times. And then like the 5th time I come up short and crashed, and I broke 4 ribs and bruised everything inside of me again. So I was bedridden for I didn't get out of bed for a month. They gave me a bunch more pain pills. I did them actually. I did them as I was supposed to. So when I got done with them, I wasn't withdrawing, and I did them the right way. And, you know, I gave that bike back to the guy I was borrowing it from, ended up getting a Honda. Another guy let me borrow a Honda, and I rode a Honda there for a little while. And I don't even know. Actually, it was January a couple years ago. I was running across a parking lot and hit a curb, and I broke my navicular, or one of them bones in my foot. And it was just like, you know, once it ain't one thing, it's something else. You know, ended up getting recovered from that, and I didn't ride no more. I met my wife, and we just, you know, it was one of them happened incidences that I met her, and I never knew her before. She's from my hometown. She's a few years younger than me, and ended up moving in with her, and, you know, really didn't do much. Every once in a while I'd put on a riding school here and there on the weekends, and pretty much was lazy. I didn't do nothing there for a while. I wasn't doing nothing bad. I wasn't selling no drugs. I wasn't, you know, I just wasn't. It took me literally until September of 2014. You know, I was out almost over a year and a half before I really got the drive to do anything. Like, it took me forever to get into a groove, or, you know, I don't know if I was ready for life, like ready for the real world. Like, I was so institutionalized that everything I did just felt like I was still in prison. So, you know, me and my wife went on our honeymoon. I come back, my dad bought me a bike, and I was like, well, shit, that's pretty cool. So I started riding again. That was in 2014, and I went to Loretta's, and Nico Izzy's dad, known him for a long time. He's like, hey, look, man, I need some help down in Georgia training kids. Do you want to work? I was like, well, shit, yeah, let's do it. You know, it's something I love to do. I love anything with dirt bikes. So I literally just got married in May. September, I packed up my van and drove to Georgia, southern Georgia. And, you know, I lived in his driveway out of my van and trained kids with him there. Ended up getting a house down there. My wife moved down in January 2015, and we stayed down there all the way up until August. I ended up in February of 2015. I ended up just quit working for him. It didn't work out. It wasn't like I didn't have a problem with him. It's just the money I wasn't getting paid like I should have. If I'm going to work, I need to be paid. So he had me cutting wood and doing other stuff because he sold firewood. So, me being a hillbilly, I know how to cut firewood. Cut a bunch of firewood for him, and ended up, my wife was like, you need to do something else. This is not panning out for you. So I ended up quitting working for him. As soon as I quit, 3 of his kids quit him and started riding with me because they didn't like him. So I started training, and then I had one of my kids, both my kids made it. 2 of them made it to Loretta's, but I had one leave me for MTF. May of 2015, my dad fell off a porch and broke his back, and they had to put him in an induced coma and a bunch of other stuff. And so I had to take off 2 weeks right after the regional. So one of the kids left and went to MTF on me. And me and the other kid trained all summer and went to Loretta's. He didn't do the best, but it was good. But then, as soon as I left, it was the Saturday of Loretta's. I come back to Kentucky to see my mom and dad. I found out my mom had stage 4 lung cancer. And so that Monday, I found a house up here to rent. I drove back down on Monday, packed all my stuff up Monday night. Literally stayed up 24 hours. Me and one of my buddies and my wife packed up all our stuff, and we moved back on Tuesday. And I just started training around here, doing my own MX schools, and basically taking care of my mom and my dad. My dad's health, he's not the best. He's got COPD and a couple other things, and my mom was dying of cancer, so they needed me around. So I helped them, and it was knocking out schools, every weekend I could, and did that all winter, and then I all winter, went down to Alabama and stayed down there and trained like 5 kids all winter, all the way up to March. And then my mom got real sick in March, so I took off until May, and May 17th, she passed away. The beginning of this summer. So it was kind of rough. My mom was like my best friend. She was my backbone. It was rough, and it was just hard because I got a little brother. He's never around. He never come over to help, and then my dad and my mom been together for 45 years, so it was really hard on him. So I had to step up and kind of put everything the morning and mourning her and all that stuff. I had to put it on the back burner and had to be the strong one for the family because everybody looked to me for everything. Me and my dad's relationship's gotten. It was good, but since my mom passed away, it's a lot better because we get a lot more time, and I just have to take care of him, do this and do that, and then after she passed, he got a wild hair and was like, this property's been up here that the track was on in an old sand quarry for about 3 years. I've been trying to get it, and he wouldn't help me out with it. And finally he went up there and talked to the guy, and we got the lease on the property. So got that track and started working it June 20th and worked it all the way up to Boom Diggity, went to Boom Diggity, come back. And I had 7 kids that I trained for Loretta's this year. It was good. It could have been a little bit better. I was pressed for time and everything, but I had like Sean Hamlin came out with some of his guys from California and rode for 3 or 4 days. And then I had some guys, Justin Buckaloo's riders, came out and rode for 2 or 3 days, just trying to get acclimated to the heat, and the humidity out here is a lot different from out west. And, and then we did Loretta's this year. Last year I had 1 kid. This year I had 12. So, we got a 2nd place in a moto, a whole shot, a couple 7ths, a 5th. The overalls wasn't the best, but we had a bunch of bright moments there throughout the week. So, with anything, you got to build it up. You can't, I don't put my expectations too high. I try to, and that's what I try to teach my riders. Don't put your expectations too high, because if you don't meet them or succeed or exceed your expectations, you're going to have you're going to be bummed out. So I try to set it, my goals are I can reach them reasonably. So that's
Yeah,
what I try to instill on my riders too.
yeah, Ben, like your story, man. I'm first and foremost, I just want to say I'm super, not really knowing you that well. I like to say, I'm proud of you, man. I'm really proud of you that, you could be there for your family in that need. You gave yourself, that opportunity that you could give back to your mother, and she, the woman must have meant the world to you. And, for her to spend her weekends, come visit her son in jail. And then, now you can be there for your family, and, you could, hold your head up high, knowing what you're doing is the right thing, and you're helping kids, achieve their dreams. And man, I'm blown away, man. That's a really really good program that you made for yourself, man. And it's amazing to see how strong the mind is if you put your mind at something and you overpower it, and you just don't ever stop reaching. I'm just telling you, man to man, I'm super, super proud of you, dude. That is an amazing story.
Well, I appreciate it, Kenny. The situation I'm in now, I have the same drive I did before I was 16 years old, before I kept using. And I've realized, it doesn't matter what it is, if it's alcohol. I mean, every once in a while I'll drink casually, but I don't do nothing else. You know what I'm saying? I don't smoke no dope no more. I don't take no pills. I had a tooth pulled 4 months ago, and they tried to prescribe me some pills, and I'm like, listen, I don't want that. Non-narcotic, I'm good. It's just like it dulls your mind. It dulls you, and you just don't have that same drive. And I finally, since my mom's passed and this whole summer, I've had that same initiative and drive to want to be a great coach and a great trainer, and a good friend to the riders, and a good son to my dad. And I've got in February we found out my wife was pregnant, February, I believe. So we're doing November. I got a little girl on the way, so I've pretty much just kicked everything into overdrive. It's like I've got to push. And you were just like you were saying earlier, the window of opportunity for a lot of these riders is small. Well, it's the same thing. The window of opportunity to make yourself in a career if you want is small. I'm behind. I'm behind MTF, Josh Woods, Matt Walker. All of them are way up there on the top of their game. They got them nice facilities. Well, I'm just starting out, so I have to push hard, and I have to push myself to try to be better, to pick my game up as a trainer and a coach, and be seen, and try to better myself every time. Every race I'm always learning something. I'm like, okay, and even at 33, I'm still learning stuff at the track. Like, okay, hey, didn't know that, and it's just stuff that I'm picking up on that I wouldn't be picking up on if I was high. And that's what I've realized. I've watched. I look back on my career, and everything that I've done, I don't regret none of it, because. And I know a lot of people, I've said this before in a couple of other interviews and articles, and everybody's been like, why don't he regret it? That just shows, no, what I don't regret is my path that I took led me to where I'm at now.
Exactly.
My wife, my stepdaughter, my daughter on the way, my life that I have now, I wouldn't give it away for nothing. Now, in my life, if I would have never got into all the bad shit and would have kept on racing, could have probably been retired. Probably had a lot of money, but where would I be? Would I have what I've got now? And you don't have to have materialistic shit to be happy. And I had everything in the world at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. Everything I wanted, I'd buy. Anything I wanted. If I wanted it and I had the money, I was buying it. And now it's like, I don't do none of that. I don't care about that. I shop at Walmart for my clothes. I don't care about none of that stuff. I work my ass off. I don't care about driving a nice car. All I want to do is pave the way for my child and my stepdaughter to have a good future. And the only way to do it is hard work and dedicating myself to my kids that I train. I look at them as like, they're like my kids. You know, I had heartbreak this week along with a lot of the riders that were down there. You know, a lot of my riders didn't ride up to their expectations, and it was heartbreaking for me. Some of them coming back and just 15, 16-year-old bawling their eyes out because they didn't know what they couldn't figure it out, and that's part of it. And it's the same with life. Sometimes it takes you a little bit to figure everything out. And it took me until I was about 30 to figure out what I want to do with myself.
Well, you know what?
I don't want to be.
Check this part out. At least you figured it out. There's dudes that never figured it out. And you said it in your story. You know, when you're institutionalized, once you get into that system, you're that way forever. And once you get out of there, people don't know how to live life because they've been in prison their, majority of their life. So they can't adjust to the outside life. That's why it took you so long to get going. You were in a routine. And you know what? You're blessed, dude. You're blessed. And when you say you wouldn't change anything for the world, you know what? I think you shouldn't, because it's made you into the man you are. It's given you, if you say, oh, what if I still could have raced? Well, what about if you would have raced and you would have ended up in a wheelchair, or you could have got killed?
Yep.
You know what I mean? You can't live in the past. I have a saying, yesterday is history and tomorrow's a mystery. You know what, man?
Exactly.
Dude.
Exactly.
And, I just want to, end this with first and foremost, I want to say thank you very much, because, it takes a lot to come out and tell your story in this industry that we are in, because everybody has, their egos, and everybody wants to be the coolest guy and have the newest, car and the newest, the best this and the best that. But you know what? There's something that a lot of people don't have, is a heart. And you know what, my man? You got a golden one. And I just want to say thank you for coming on this show. And I'm here for you. If there's anything that we could do on the show to promote, if you want to give a shout out right now to how people can get a hold of you, we'll post it up on our website, and do everything we can to promote your school and help you or your family, man. Whatever I can do for you, I'm here for you, my man.
Well, I appreciate it, Kenny. And if anybody wants to get in touch with me, you can call me anytime, 270-403-4410. I have Facebook, Ben Riddle on Facebook or Instagram. My coaching business is Riddle Motocross Coaching. I emphasize on confidence, corners, and conditioning. That's my big thing. And, I enjoy doing it. A lot of trainers take it as a job. I take it as I have fun. That's why I love doing this so much. It's gratifying when you see one of your riders get a second at Loretta's, because you trained the shit out of him all summer long. That, to me, is priceless when their dad gives them a hug and stuff like that. So, hopefully I'll be around for a long time. And, I appreciate you having me on the show. It means a lot that, you reached out to me, gave me an opportunity to tell my story. If my story, or if anybody's having problems and they're struggling, feel free to call me. I'll talk to you. I'll guarantee you, if I've done about everything, and I've been through about every situation you can think of. I've had it happen to me. So if you're struggling and you need, just somebody to holler at, to talk to about something, or you're just, down the dumps and you're wanting to use, man, feel free to call me. I've been there. It's an everyday struggle. I mean, I was an addict, once an addict, always an addict, and, nowadays, instead of me abusing drugs, I abuse myself as you're going out and just working hard. That's my addiction, is working my ass off, and, just trying to better myself, better my riders, like I said, pave a way for my family. That's all I'm in it for nowadays, is for my family. So, like I said, I appreciate it, Kenny, man. Means a lot that you reached out to me, and I hope that me coming on here, if there's any, hopefully it'll help someone. And if anybody's, looking for somebody to talk to, feel free to call me.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. One man helping another. And you know what? there's thousands of people that listen to this, and maybe this message might get to one person. And if it helps that one person, we're doing the right thing, my man. So, hey, congratulations on your new daughter. I have a daughter. As a matter of fact, her birthday's today, and you're in a hole. That's gonna be the biggest blessing that you're ever gonna see.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
man.
Hopefully,
I mean, it sounds like you have a stepdaughter. Yeah, well, you could have that. I don't want my daughter to ride, but you have a stepdaughter. You love that little girl. I just imagine
I love her to death. She calls me dad.
Yeah, but just wait. Just wait.
And then one more thing I was going to say, no matter what, don't give up, people. Don't. You don't give up. You always fight. Every day, fight. If you got an addiction, fight it. You know, if you want more money and you want to be successful, you have to fight. You have to put the effort in. Don't give up. That's the most important thing. When you give up, you're going to hit rock bottom. My rock bottom was 6.5 years in prison. Most people's is losing their job or, you know, going to alcohol rehab. Okay? So it can always be worse. So when you're in the dumps, don't give up. Always look up and keep that head high and fight every day. That's what you got to do. I know. I've been there. I've wanted to give up many times in the last decade and just, you know, give up completely and just see what happened. But you know what? I didn't. Well, I knew there was going to be there was going to be a path, or there was going to be a way that there's everybody's life. They're meant to do something, and hopefully me coaching kids and just trying to get out there and let everybody know how easy it is to screw up. It is easy. It's not, it can happen like that. I had everything in the world and I had it all taken away from me in 25 minutes.
I'll tell you one
25 minutes.
I'll tell you one thing. Your message, even for what you just ended it with, is helping me because I've been going through a lot of, crap with life and business and bunch of other things, and when I have to look at the big picture, my problems ain't shit. You know what? It's all, family, health, and friends. I got all those. That's all I need, and a chance and a dream, and that's all you need in life. And I just want to say, Ben Riddle, thank you very much for coming on this show, man. God bless you. And you know what? If you need anything, we're here for you, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Kenny, for having me.
All right, you have a good night. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye. There you go. Hope you guys enjoyed that, because I certainly did. Like Joe Dirt would say, keep on keeping on. Talk to you guys soon. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the people that make this happen for us. Thank you very much. I would like to thank Team Elite, Cocopa Casino and Resort, Ron's In Your Ear Audio, X Brand, Words Connection, Hart and Huntington Tattoo, Guts Racing, and last but not least, you, the people. Thank you very much for listening. Keep on keeping on. Talk to you soon.
He's my favorite bro, and I punch my friends in the arm because we're bros. Well, I lifted my truck up to the sky cause I'm a bro. Cause I'm a bro. I give millions to the industry, even though it's run by the Japanese, cause I'm a bro. Flame tattoos, revving my dirt bike. I talk shit all the time. If your truck is smaller than mine, cause I'm a bro. Cause I'm a bro. Cause I'm a bro.